AI in education. And that is the conversation that everybody seems to be having and nobody seems to be having. Why am I saying that? Because I believe everybody knows about it. And then when I do some research, there are teachers, there are principals that think, oh, it's just this thing that other people are doing, maybe other school districts, maybe even not talking about it at all. So, what are we doing about using artificial intelligence? And when I say artificial intelligence, I'm thinking maybe we should define that. What is artificial intelligence? What are we talking about with AI? And recently, and I'm going to look this up because I was on Netflix and there is a new series that came out. And okay, it is called What's Next. It literally is What's Next, the future with Bill Gates. And it's talking about AI. And it's a series. It's literally talking about what he thinks about AI. And what's profound is they put the generative AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI, in front of him. He's on his phone and he's like, oh, like somebody, I mean, he knows what it is. You know, you have these think tanks that they know what it exists. They've talked about it. They thought, oh, it wouldn't be this efficient until maybe 2030, 2040, maybe even later, but it's here. So with that, I want to make sure that I have the ability to grab this channel and send it to some colleagues because I say every time I don't see it, I need to see it. So I'm going to send it. All right. So if you're new to my channel, please make sure you subscribe and turn the bell on so that you know when I go live. That basically means that you'll get a notification, or at least you can watch the live later. So let me save this and send the, okay, wait a minute. So if you've never heard of ChatGPT or OpenAI, what I would like you to do if you have a smartphone, well, I assume you have a smartphone, go ahead and here's what you're going to do. You're going to probably download the app. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to show you what it looks like. But I want to show you some articles. Let me save this. I'm sending it. I'm doing two things at once. That really doesn't work very well, but we're doing it anyway. So, okay, we're good to go now. At least I think I always think I'm good to go. Okay. And if you are having a conversation in the chat here on YouTube, I'm looking at myself at the same time. Go ahead and share. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you're thinking about OpenAI, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, whatever, all the different platforms that are available. Claude.ai, I believe. Well, that one works too. Or Gemini. I'm going to show you some articles. I want to show you what some of the conversations are around Chat or about ChatGPT. And what I have found is this. Make sure that I'm going to the right desktop. And this is ChatGPT, but we'll come back to that. The age of AI. So in March of 2023, this is Bill Gates. Even though he has a series out on Netflix, he's talking about AI. And you can come back to this, but I'm just going to enlarge it for a moment. Like artificial intelligence is as revolutionary as mobile phones and the internet. Like we when it becomes so natural for you to have a phone, when I've seen kindergartners with smartphones like this, when I have seen we can go buy this anywhere. You can go and get any type of you can gain access to the internet, whether you're at the library. I don't know very many homes that don't have Wi-Fi. And you can go into a coffee shop and get Wi-Fi. It is so assumed that that is there that we forget it's artificial intelligence until there's something new. So when you hear the term AI, right now people are talking about ChatGPT. That is an artificial generative intelligence or generative artificial intelligence, you know, however you want to talk about it. And that is what people are saying is AI. So when I'm seeing this article, It says artificial intelligence or the age of AI has begun. It is already here. And they talk about that in that series. It's already here because we use AI every day. If you work for a company and you need to gain access to email, that's AI. If you need to gain access to reading an article or searching on the World Wide Web. I don't know no one talks that way. It's just the internet, or you Google it. Now you ChatGPT it. This is what we are talking about. This is what is happening when we talk about AI. It is no longer when we say the age of AI has begun. We're not talking about cell phones anymore because it is so assumed that it's natural that we forget that it's artificial intelligence. So if you look at this, even this right here, I want you to see just this language, just right here. It says, the first time in my lifetime, I have seen demonstrations of technology that struck me as revolutionary. The first time was 1980 when I was introduced to a graphical user interface. And you might know that as, typing on the world on Microsoft or DOS or just brainstorming with a computer. And for some of you are like, what is that? Man, that was very interesting. But just reading this article here, the forerunner of every modern operating system, including Windows, AKA Bill Gates, I sat with the person who had shown me the demo, a brilliant programmer named Charles Simonyi, and we immediately started brainstorming about all the things we could do with such a user-friendly approach to computing. My point is that if you continue to read, it talks about Charles eventually joined Microsoft. Windows became the backbone of Microsoft, and the thinking we did after the demo helped set the company's agenda for the next 15 years. And now in 2022, OpenAI opened up and it went so fast with who gained access, what it could do, how it changed what we were doing, and what we were doing with not just artificial intelligence, but now artificial generative intelligence. I am very efficient and proficient, and it's making my life very it's given me the ability to do more things. So in the morning, if I have an idea, I can put it into ChatGPT and say, find all these articles. I'm really interested in whatever. Find 5 or 6 articles. And I want to show you that because I think that we don't realize how much we can do with generative AI. And I know that some of us think of it as cheating. Well, we said that about Google, did we not? We said that when kids gained access, we can't let kids have access. Oh my goodness. In 1995, if we let students use this, they're going to cheat. They're going to copy, cut, and paste. Well, they did. Do you know why? Think about that. It's because we didn't teach them how to use it properly. So if we don't do that with generative AI, people will cheat because they think, oh my gosh, it's making my life easier. I want to hang out with my friends on the weekend. I got this assignment. I can now upload the whole assignment into ChatGPT and I want to do this. Instead of teaching kids that it's a problem solver and it can make you more intelligent, it can help you think, it can create dendrites, increase dendrites in your brain, all the things. So what can generative AI, do for us? Now, before I do that, I want you to just see that there are so many different articles out there about AI. Even UCLA back in February had a symposium on the age of AI. I am so sorry I missed out on that. Resources for teaching in the age of AI. And this is Caltech. Vanderbilt University Center for Teaching in the Age of AI. Harvard, Generative AI, Teach with Generative AI, an overview. And this to me, even when I read this, I was like, it felt very academic, but how are we going to break this down for teachers and principals and students? Which, my hope is that if you take a university course that they will break it down. And then you have MIT created a short, I'm going to say short because it's only 24 pages, document on the Great Acceleration. It literally is the Great Acceleration. It has accelerated how I think, and I like to think, and I like to ponder, and I like the big ideas. This is what the world is saying about generative AI. And I think sometimes, and I want to make sure that my mic is on, because you always wonder if your mic is on. Um, Sometimes you wonder what is happening and how are we using this to inform, to make us better, to create, to make new things. And it's here, and you have people that are creating magnificent things with AI and the Department of Education. And this is what the Department of Education, Office of Educational Technology, Insights on Recommendations, Artificial Intelligence, and the Future of Teaching and Learning. This is a bit longer, it's 71 pages. But what could we do with this if we had ChatGPT? And this is something that I did skim through, and I would read it if I wanted to teach it and talk about it, but it has a table of contents. It talks, and we could do so many things with ChatGPT because of this article. So let's do just that. And if you are somebody who likes research, or especially if you're a principal and you want to look at information and you want to know, should I use this as a professional development, or how could I use this? I've read this article. What could I do? And what's nice about ChatGPT, if you've never seen ChatGPT, this is your first time, this is the platform. Now, I have already logged in. On the right side, I could log out and log back in, and it gives me some settings. I've created my own GPTs, Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It customized Chat GPT. Like, I could give it some things like don't use the word deploy, things like that, because it will use language that I don't usually use, and then some settings. You also over here have your sidebar where all the GPTs that I've created, I can go and search those. And then I can do a new GPT or new chat. And then I have this download. And these things tend to change. Like you can see, you have this Omni 1 or O1 preview, uses advanced reasoning. I have not used that yet because every time I log in, it is that fast in updates. O1 mini, faster at reasoning. And this says great for most tasks. And then there are more models. Like, honestly, this is even new for me today. That's how fast this is going. And then I can do a temporary chat. What's a temporary chat? This means it blacks out for me. And if I do this, it won't save it. So I'm not a fan of that yet. Sometimes I do it if I'm just demonstrating, but this time I'm okay with keeping the information. So if you're like, where do I get it? You could go to OpenAI. This is OpenAI. It's giving you more information about the new updates. You can scroll through the windows here, and then that second carousel is you can ask ChatGPT anything. I'm going to tell you, if I click on this, it's going to take me back to mine because I already pay for the service. So let's go back to ChatGPT. I am jumping to what I will call an intermediate level, but if you have questions on what to do with ChatGPT, ask it anything. Like, how can you help me? What can I do? I would like to learn more. Tell me all about you. And you could ask it that question right here in this chat. But I have a paperclip and I can attach a file. So I'm actually going to attach the most recent file. It's in my downloads. And this is let's see if this is the right download. No, let's close this out. I want this download. Let's download this. And we're going to AI report just to make sure. Let's go back to ChatGPT and upload it in my downloads. There it is. I'm uploading it. Now you can see that it's taking a moment to upload. It's thinking. If you're not sure, it was thinking right here. And I'm just going to ask it to preview this AI report. What are the main ideas? How can I use this to inform my school district? Now, typically I'm going to stop for a second. Now, I'm going to stop this for a second. Before I hit the send or the enter, I want it to slow down. Now, if I just hit enter, and I'm going to show you this, it's going to spit out a lot of things. And sometimes it's just way too much. So if you are somebody that's like, oh, that's a lot, let me show you what a lot is. Because as soon as it reads it, it's just going to start giving me all this information. Now, it's a little bit slower, which is okay, but look at it. It's giving me the opportunities and the risks of AI in education. It's breaking it down into what we call markdowns. When I first started with ChatGPT in November of 2022, it didn't give me bold, bullets, italics, but now it's giving me markdowns. It even has sizes of the headers. It's breaking it down. And if we were to go look at this, it's still thinking, and you can see that because I could stop it. It's breaking it down into what it thinks I want. And it's still continuing, and it's just going and going. And actually, this isn't too bad. But what if this is what it thinks I want? I don't know that this is really, I may not want this. But if you take a moment and read it, like you saw that was 74 pages, the actual document. This is maybe a 2-pager. So it gives you what's the opportunities and the risks. AI has the potential to improve educational outcomes by increasing adaptivity, creating personalized learning experiences, supporting teachers with planning and reflection, and providing intelligent tutoring systems. Okay, ITS. That's good information. Like I could go and say, that is something I might want to talk about, just one topic. But you have the other side of this, like the 2 columns, like what are the risks? So the report emphasizes concerns about bias, data privacy, and unintended consequences like algorithmic discrimination, which could amplify inequities if not carefully managed. That's kind of big language. I will tell you that the programming language behind ChatGPT is basically whoever programs it, whatever belief systems they have, or whatever ideas, whatever format, color format, palettes in their head, that's kind of what happens. So those are some risks. But the other risks are that it's not even, maybe it says it, is that it could, enhance cheating. It could enhance, if you want your students to put this assignment in ChatGPT and tell me what it says, now go and write your own paper and compare. That's different. And then it gives you how to inform your district. So what's really nice is that you can see it does how to inform your district for each area, which I think is really nice. The first time I put this in here, I got a different output because I asked it a different question. So whatever your input is what your output would be, which is really nice. And I'm not sure if I have people chatting with me or not, but that's okay. So, and it tells you how to inform your district. Use AI to enhance personalized learning, but ensure that its implementation addresses data, privacy, and equity concerns. And again, this is still vague for me, so I would have other questions on what does that really look like, because I would want to start with informing teachers on what it is. Like, where would I start with just teachers? And I could even keep this in the same chat and say, assume this is new for teachers. What could the district do to provide training for how teachers can use it before we talk about students? Basically, getting teachers to become really good at the AI platform. Now, again, AI is being used very loosely, and because AI is all the things, the internet and Google searches and your phone. My thermostat is AI. It's smart. I can, set it wherever. That's the thing that we're not considering. So it's basically right now I'm saying AI as in generative AI. So let's see what it will put. Let's see what the output is. your response is only the output is only as good as your input. So, we call that prompting. Like, what's the prompt? It's kind of like a homework assignment. You give kids homework assignments. If you're a teacher, if you're a principal, you might give, some expectations in a guide for parents. That those are prompts. Like, these are expectations. You're prompting people on what you want them to do. So that's what ChatGPT is doing. So and notice, look at all this. It keeps going and going. So this could be a lot. You're like, that's just too much, but that's what it is. It's saying structured professional development and workshops, initial introduction, hands-on practice, ongoing AI training modules. This would be a good thing to maybe have a carousel in a large room and put like large white paper or however you want to do it. If you wanted to use an online platform like Padlet and say, let's talk about what this would look like. And you could start with one of these topics. Like, what would this look like if we did it? Are there any experts? Is there anybody in our district that's playing with AI? Do we need to bring someone else in? Do we have teachers that are already using it to create and improve their lessons based on the product that the district uses? So those are questions that you could definitely ponder. But it is something that it's intuitive. It gives you ideas like a pilot program. But again, it's really pushing things out. So now I'm going to take you back. And one of the things that I like to do is I like ChatGPT to slow down. Like, I want ChatGPT to slow down and keep me part of the conversation. So I'm going to show you one other thing with ChatGPT, and I'm going to go back, share my screen. And this time I'm going to say, these are great ideas. This time, let's have a thinking partnership and keep me part of this conversation about bringing AI into a district. Let's chat. Don't just give me a list. Kind of like a think tank. Let's see what happens. I love the idea. That's some empathetic. I've not heard, it's telling me how it feels. I love the idea of thinking of a thinking partnership. Let's chat through this process step by step, almost like we're mapping out the strategy together. Yes. How do you feel about starting with the big picture and then diving into how we get the teachers comfortable with AI? What do you see as the biggest hurdle in bringing AI into your district right now? Is it resistance from teachers, lack of knowledge, or something else? Great question. I think it would be a good place to start. I don't like that statement. I believe we need to have directors and IT and HR in the room on what the impact will be. So, in other words, we want to be sure that we are focusing only on teachers before we move to students. That way, they are proficient and have knowledge and feel confident with their skills. So let's see what it says. It's giving me like kudos. This makes perfect sense. Having all the key educational partners like directors, IT, and HR in the room is crucial. It's telling me how, great idea, make me feel good about myself. They can bring they can each bring a different lens to the conversation, especially around the broader implications of introducing AI. For example, IT would need to ensure that infrastructure supports AI tools, while HR might focus on what professional development or skills teachers need. I don't know that HR would do that. HR, not PD. I'm going to say this. HR would be keeping privacy and thinking about what we say to AI. IT would be infrastructure, and ed services would be PD. So I at least wanted to address that. What do you think is the best way to get those groups aligned on the fact that we're focusing on teachers first? I'm wondering if it would be beneficial to have a roundtable discussion where we lay out the phased approach. Do you think these groups would have concerns about focusing on teachers? Okay. Too many questions. Start with what I said. And it knows if I misspelled a word, and I click shift to uppercase that I, but obviously it didn't catch it. Got it. Let's focus on your point about involving the directors, IT and HR, while keeping the spotlight on teachers. Okay, this is a lot. Still too much. Talk with me, not for me. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because if you're like, whoa, slow down, like I don't even want to read all of that, you can do that. And this is kind of what I was hoping for. It's still too much. Too much. One question at a time. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have learned that even if you have a group of principals in a room or teachers in the room, we can fire hose them like, oh, all these questions, figure it out. No, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. This is what I'm hoping ChatGPT gets to. Got it. Let's start with this. How do you want to frame the conversations with directors, IT, and HR to make sure they understand that we're focusing on teachers first? Let's include educational services for K-12. Let's have a round table with one overarching question. One. Let's see what it'll give me. Now, I probably could have pushed it a little bit, but I am curious about if it will come up with one question. How can we ensure that teachers become proficient and confident with AI tools before we expand the focus to include students? That is all I would want, because that's an open-ended question. And then from there, HR can look at guidelines, IT can look at guidelines, and then ed services can look at guidelines. Now, I'm sure there's other things that we could add to that, but that's kind of huge. That's a huge one. So there's some other things that I wanted to show you with ChatGPT. And the big one right now in the state of California is that our state test scores are going to go live in mid to late October. What does that mean? Principals are going to start looking at their data, and they're kind of like, where do I start? I don't even know how to look at this data, but it's public data. So you can use ChatGPT. So depending on what state you're like we have what's called, let's just go to the home here. We have 6 different assessments that we offer in the state of California. That is the summative assessments, meaning the end of the year, how have students done? How have they engaged in their academic learning? And what's the impact on the next year, and how can we improve our instruction? So we have the English language arts, literacy, and mathematics. So CASP, the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, is the overarching system for these assessments. And then we also have the English language proficiency assessment for California. So that's here. And that is for our students who are multilingual and they are learning English for the first time, or they're learning English in California. And so all of these other ones, like the Smarter Balance one, this ELA and math, that means that however a student is doing, if the question is somewhat simple for them or easy, the test may get a little bit more difficult for them. And if it's a little bit difficult for them, the test may get a little bit easier for them to see how they're accessing knowledge. And so that's what the Smarter Balance is. So ELA and math. We have the alternative one, the California Alternative Assessments in ELA and math. And this one is for students who typically couldn't access this. And then we have the California Science Test. This one is not smarter. So kids will get different questions. So if they're near another student, it won't be in the same order, but they're just similar questions. They might even get a totally different test. I could be wrong about that. Correct me in the chat if you know. And then you have the alternate science test, which is similar to this, but for students who typically couldn't access this level of assessment. And then we also offer the Spanish reading language arts one. So this one we use when we have students that are looking for a multiliteracy or the seal of biliteracy. So they're looking for a seal so that they can show that they're proficient in Spanish. So that one we really like. And the other assessments like the AP Spanish assessment, French, German, whatever language they're looking at, we use those too to qualify them. So what does this really mean and what can we do with it? So we can do a lot of things. So when this data is live, it's live now, but it gives us the year before. And some people look at this and they go, that data is old. We don't need to look at it. Well, as an educator, it would inform me on how I did the previous year. So, school sites or school districts will get this data back in May so they can start informing, and parents will get it back in May for their own child so they can see how they did, like what do they need to do differently for the new group of students. So it does inform us pretty quickly. The state of Illinois goes, is it either Ohio or Illinois? Their data goes pretty public fast, like May, June, or July, and which is kind of interesting. I'm very curious on how they do that. But this is where we are in California. So mid-October, late October, the data will go live. And what you can do, and I've shown this before, is you can take this data if you're a principal and first of all, you should show this with your community and talk about, what you're going to do to improve. And this is where we are. And let's honor students. You can also, this is in ELA and math, and it gives you these 4 areas. Level 4 is where we want them to be by the time they're in 11th grade, because that means that they are one criteria of being ready to go to college or ready to enter the workforce. And then level 3 is they've met the standards. However, they may need a little bit more work to become really proficient in it. And then you'll notice that in the middle here, level 3 and level 4 is added. And then we have level 2, meaning they're getting there. And then level 1, they haven't met it. So what do we need to do in education to improve that? These scores, this is the state score. And sometimes we get really frustrated, like, oh my gosh, my school isn't doing as well. You have to remember that every student is different, and schools are working towards helping students do what they can do individually. No 2 students are the same. So take a breath when you see scores. And then what can you do to help your child? And then if you're a teacher, what can you do to help the group of students? And if you're a principal, what can you do to help your teachers? And then of course, in districts, what can we do to help support our principals and teachers become really proficient in informing what we're doing? Because education changes. How students learn, is faster and different. So we have to be aware of that. And parents send the best they have. Like, they don't just send the good one to school. They're all the great ones. So that's what they do. And then of course you have math, the same thing. And what you also can do is you can click on the results here. And I will tell you that this is English. You can click on the math one too. And what's nice about this, it gives it to you in a bar graph for each grade level in a school district. This again is the state. It gives you the number of students that were enrolled, the number that were tested by grade level, the number of students with scores, and the mean score. And then it also mean scale score. So, and that if you really wanted to know what those score scales are, the scale scores here, you can click on this and it'll give you the scales by grade level. I once had a question like, is it always the same scale per grade level? No. So if your child didn't meet the standards in third grade, they will have some, a gap that teachers will have to help them with. And that's doable, believe it or not. And then, you have each level of proficiency. So you have to remember that these are the overall achievement areas. And then we have the areas of achievement. So reading, writing, listening, and research and inquiry. Note that this year, there's probably going to be an additional piece. I don't really know if this is still going to be here. My hope is that it is, but you will have the claims put together. Like you'll have reading and listening together, and then writing, research, and inquiry together as a composite score. And the difference here is that students who are below standard typically didn't meet. Students who are near standard could possibly be near, met, or exceeded, depending on how close they are to that scale. And then even students who are above in reading, they still could have a met, meaning they could be here, but they could be maybe here, they're near. So there's always lots of questions. So if you have questions, you can even ask ChatGPT, what does this mean for my student? And I wanted to tell you that I actually, and I thought I didn't. I had the student score report for you to see, and I can show you that. But this is just some information that can kind of help you look at what this looks like. But what's nice is that, let's say that you wanted to, grab this information and have ChatGPT talk to you about what does this mean for students. And I'm wondering if I can grab all of this here. Yeah, I can. I can grab all of this and just Control C. It's a lot. I'm going to I'm going to put it in quotes, not that I have to, but I'm going to put it in quotes so it separates it and say, what does this mean for the state of California in 2022-23 data for the ELA Smarter Balance Assessment for CASP. And I could just leave it at that. And then I'm going to say, put it back in tables that allows me to grab and in a CSV file to give me a visual. Let's just see what happens, because data informs what we do. And sometimes we don't know where to start. And sometimes it's just, let's talk about it. And let's see what it does. Now notice that this has a down arrow. If I click the down arrow, it's going to start moving for me when it starts to give me all the information. And it's really analyzing it. I did give it a lot of information, and I kind of wonder what it's going to do and how it's going to organize the information. My dog is like having a good time right here. Anyway, so what does this mean for students? What does this mean and how we're going to look at data? It's really thinking. I'm kind of excited, but while it's thinking, let's let it think. And now what I want to do is grab that student score report so you can see what it means. So these are the samples. You click on it, and then this one, it gives me 5th grade, but you should Google this to look at it. If you have a child and you've gotten this in your student information system, read it. I don't know that you want to take your child's data and upload it into ChatGPT. That's on you, but it is private information, and you have what's called a student SSID here. This is a sample one, and that is their ID. Don't put that in ChatGPT. Don't put that in ChatGPT. But you could, at least look at it and read it. You can ask ChatGPT, what does it mean if, specifically. But notice that when I said these scores are added together here, this is they put the reading and listening and writing and research together. And then there are other things in here that you might want to ask ChatGPT. Like you could upload this sample one and say, tell me about the score. I don't understand, but don't put your child's in there. The other thing you want to note is that fifth grade essay performance questions may be different than sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and grade 11, because their questions will be slightly different. And actually, one student might have a different essay question than others. So it's something to think about. So let's see what it did. Oh, okay. All right. So it gave me all the data. I want to expand it so you can see. So if I wanted to copy this, I could download it, or just open this up into an Excel or Google Sheet. So it gave me that, and then it gave me all the achievement levels, which I'm curious. Let's see. Where are all the achievement levels? It didn't give me all of them. Okay. So where are the 4 different achievement levels? So just know that ChatGPT isn't perfect. This is the part that you want to see. Reading, writing, listening, research. So I'm just giving it that information. And then it gave me it gave me a graph for MET and for standard MET. That's all that is. I don't know that I wanted just standard MET. Give me a visual of all 4 performance levels, 1 through 4. Let's see if it's still thinking about the other thing. So this is still new because it wasn't giving me a graph before. Like as of a couple of weeks ago, it may have been doing it for other people, but I didn't even consider asking it that. So, which is kind of interesting that it gave me just the standard MET, because that is it's still a good conversation, because I would want to know, well, 7th grade, this is how high standard MET was. Because if I go back to here and I come up here, I'm like, well, 7th grade, this is 30%, 30.51% MET, but only 16 or 17% exceeded. So if I went back to that graph, is that about 30%? Yep. You can verify. Very nicely done. And you notice that it's taking a little longer, which is fine. And that's something that you want to be aware of. And what I will do is I can, I'll share some of my prompts in the description once this video has completely saved on YouTube in the live. But what I wanted to share with you is that using data to inform, it opens up questions. It's okay to ask one question. Like, what one question could I ask? I'm going to pull this away and say, what is one question I could ask my school principals about the overall data by performance level, especially considering, for example, that's an interesting graph. For example, grade 7 has a higher MET percentage compared to exceeded. Like, I'm just going to leave that there, but let's go look at this graph, because it at least gave me achievement levels, but interesting. So reading above standard, reading near standard, reading below, it put it all in. I really like this. This is interesting. Check this graph out. Okay, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to go back to it. Even though it got rid of my question, I clicked my mouse. So it's showing me that reading above standard. Ooh. Okay. It's showing me that reading above standard here in grade 3, that by the time they're in grade 11, that this is what happens, that writing improves by the time they're in grade 11, that research it seems to always improve, but wait, which one is this? The colors are confusing me. Okay, no. Writing. This is writing. Okay, orange. This is orange. This is the writing. This pink is the research. Yep. No, that's a lie. This is the listening piece. Oh my gosh, the colors, the colors. So I'm looking really closely. So yellow we can see is reading. The orange, I have to look at it, is writing. They do get better. Listening, um, they do definitely improve with the no, they don't improve in listening. It's the research, they get a little better with it, but listening. Like ooh, the state of California. Wow, right? I'm saving this. This is a whole nother conversation for another day. But I could just say, based on this graph, what is one question about the performance levels I could ask principals? That is a beautiful graph. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So, what strategies can we implement to improve the percentage of students performing above standard in these areas? I would say, I think, look at the graph or table. Give me a question for the lowest performance area. I I think it is listening. I was going to say consider what the state of California says about that performance area, but we'll hold up on that. Given that listening is the lowest performance area across all grade levels, how can we enhance students' listening comprehension skills, and what targeted interventions or instructional strategies can we use to support growth in this area? Oh my gosh. Okay. I know I'm leaving on a high note or a very profound note, but that to me was extremely profound. And I just want to thank you for listening to me today. And it is my hope that you will come back, and thank you. Please subscribe and turn the bell on and share this video with someone. And even if it's just the last portion, because that was kind of profound. And what I will do is I will cut this part and share this information in a second or a separate YouTube video. So thank you so much for watching. And I really appreciate you, and come back.